the left is godless, and I don't feel like it's harsh to say that.
The left is godless. And with that, Trump spokeswoman Caroline Sunshine underscored the Republican National Convention's hypocrisy.
I know how having God at the center of my own life, especially in moments like the one that we all just lived through, has an impact. And living without God, I just wouldn't wish it on anyone.
But what the Trump convention wished for and got as a primetime speaker was this woman.
My name is Amber Rose. I'm a model and entrepreneur.
And Amber Rose is also an outspoken atheist.
I don't believe in God, so I can't hate something I don't believe in.
So you don't believe a God exists?
No.
And you don't believe a God has ever existed?
No.
And you don't believe that there's a Jesus or a manger somewhere in Bethlehem?
Sure, Jesus could have been a man that lived on earth. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't care to argue that. It doesn't make him God.
But Rose makes the Trump spokeswoman sound even sillier.
President Trump survived, as I said, divine intervention. We were speaking that, the bullet pierced President Trump at 6:11 p.m. Ephesians 6:11 tells us, put on the full armor of God, take your stand against the devil and his schemes. I also think it's important to remember, maybe I'm just feeling a little old-fashioned today, but it's important to remember that good does defeat evil. And what President Trump did in that moment by getting up is remind us that good does defeat evil when we have the courage to stand up and fight. Fight for God, fight for our families, fight for our country.
Conservative influencer Matt Walsh is now fighting the Republican convention. Quote, the RNC gives a primetime speaking slot to a pro-abortion feminist and self-proclaimed slut with a face tattoo whose only claim to fame is having sex with rappers. Truly an embarrassment. Not a single voter will be mobilized by this person. But the RNC hypocrisy has been mobilized.
Love our country, but love God.
And never mind the Trump campaign, the hypocrisy also involves House Speaker Mike Johnson. A few weeks ago on Fox, the Republican Johnson trashed President Biden.
Unless the president is reading off a teleprompter, I don't think he's capable of making these big decisions.
In his convention speech, Johnson was incapable of introducing the next speaker, thanks to an errant teleprompter.
It is now my honor to introduce the Attorney General, and there goes the teleprompter.
Yes, Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, incapable of remembering something without a teleprompter, did the walk of shame. And just weeks ago, he floated removing President Biden because Mr. Biden sometimes seems to need a teleprompter. Everywhere you look at the Republican convention, there is duplicity, double-dealing, and two-facedness. The big news at the convention has been the Trump selection of Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as Trump's vice presidential running mate. But it wasn't that many years ago when Vance repeatedly hammered Donald Trump.
I'm going to vote third party because I can't stomach Trump. I think that he's noxious and is leading the white working class to a very dark place.
And while Vance now says he was wrong about Trump, and that's good enough for much of the MAGA world, the far right in the Republican Party, they are now melting down because J.D. Vance has embraced diversity, at least in his family life.
J.D. Vance also has a non-white wife, an Indian wife, and a kid named Vivek. All his kids have Indian names. So it's like, what exactly are we getting here? And that's not a dig at him just because I'm a racist or something. But it's like, who is this guy really? Do we really expect that the guy who has an Indian wife and named their kid Vivek is going to support white identity?
Count white nationalist Nick Fuentes is another critic of the Trump campaign and the Republican convention. To be fair, Fuentes is not welcome at the RNC to begin with, but all of the backbiting and second-guessing underscores that the Republican Party is not the paragon of unity, as the Republican convention is trying to project. And the countless examples of Republican convention hypocrisy, well, are not helping. By contrast, the steadiness and consistency in the U.S. political world lately has come from the leading Democrat, President Biden. Mr. Biden has given well-received and widely praised remarks about the Trump assassination attempt, and President Biden has been pushing back forcefully at the media and GOP complaints that he is too old and too feeble.
Are you seeing what they saw, which was moments of, frankly, that appeared to be, you appeared to be confused?
Lester, look, why don't you guys ever talk about the 28 lies he told? Where are you on this? Why didn't the press ever talk about that? 28 times it's confirmed he lied in that debate. I had a bad, bad night. I wasn't feeling well at all. And I had been, without it making it, I screwed up. But
I just asked the question because the idea that you may or may not have seen what some of these other folks have seen, you're not on the same...
I'd have to see I was there. I'd have to see it, I was there. And by the way, seriously, you won't answer the question, but why didn't the press talk about all the lies he told?
Well,
I haven't heard anything about that.
We have reported many of the issues that came up during that debate.
No, you haven't.
We'll provide you with them.
God love you.
Okay.
Rational, thoughtful, and firmly reasonable. That's what President Biden is projecting these days. The Republican National Convention nominating Trump has arguably been erratic, angry, and weird. Here are a few clips from the Lincoln Project.
He, she, they, them. Our kids are getting a degree in pronoun studies.
There are only two genders.
I have expect my son to come home with a diploma in advanced day-them theory.
F. Joe Biden.
Can somebody please buy me a boat?
I'd also like to spoil my grandkids with some great Peepaw unique gifts for their birthdays.
People are having babies because they're happy.
We killed that thing.
And gaslighting the entire country.
You don't have to stay poor.
Cutesy time is over.
You're fired, Donald Trump. Founding father of the America First movement, Donald John Trump. Donald Trump.
Wow! You're going to be so blessed.
The ridicule of the Republican convention is coming in fast, and more is on the way as the convention doubles down on verbal gymnastics and unmistakable hypocrisy.
I think the left is godless, and I don't feel like it's harsh to say that.
Satanists are just, they're atheists as well, but they're just more political.
Okay.
By the way, Donald Trump is not getting much of a reprieve in the Jeffrey Epstein grand jury documents released.
How many kids, not even women, how many kids do you think, and I want you to put it in the comments, Trump and Epstein raped?
All of you MAGA Christians, go Google Trump and Katie Johnson. The original assault occurred in 1994. You've got to read a little bit about it.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from Terrible Bliss, who wrote, "He should be in jail." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about the hypocrisy hanging over Donald Trump's Republican National Convention. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.